validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Special shout out to Mr. Satellite. Mr. Satellite jumped in. He kicked the doors open on the studio and got the show crunk. Definitely enjoyed that. That was enthusiastic. I was sitting over here thinking, oh man, we're probably gonna have like chants and everything else going on as we try to get the show started. I felt like doing one of those Rock Cena moments, like just letting everybody do what they do. Bayside says Xander's about to come in hot, in for jacket and cold. Let's shout out to Carl. First time in a while. Good to see you again, Carl. Hope mom's doing okay. We got a pretty decent story today. We're going to be getting crunk today. Yeah, I know, right? We got Carl. And Carl, though, he's going to drop the gospel on you. That's what Carl's going to do. Carl's going to drop the gospel on you as we talk about today's show. This is a pretty interesting show today. I'm actually glad to see that everybody was able to jump in on time. I think we just did what we had to do at the right time. I'm glad to hear it, Carl. I'm glad to hear your mom's doing great. All right, now y'all ready for this? Let's get started now. Love you too, buddy. Much love, much love. I appreciate you guys for coming in. I appreciate Mr. Satellite's patience. We had a interesting start. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe as you come in. Mash those reaction buttons as well. We are in on a Saturday night, and we're live at the beginning of the show. We've got a lot of our biggest individuals here coming in and doing our casual greetings. Today is going to be a topic where we're going to be talking about if it is possible for you to find love without dating. We're going to be addressing this from a couple of different areas, and it's going to be a very interesting talk. Yeah, I seen you was on StreamYard. I seen you. I didn't hear you because I had to just put the headset on. When the show starts, it turns everybody's mic off, so I wasn't able to hear you. But I seen you there, and I was like, I'll throw you on if you on when the show start, but you wasn't on. So I was like, well, I guess he wants to dive back into the comment section. So we're gonna make it do what it do. But yeah, I was glad to see that you were here. For everybody else, if y'all ever decide that y'all want to jump onto the show live, y'all can always click the link in the comment section, approve the mic, approve the camera. As Carl told you, you end up in the show. You end up on StreamYard. We'd be able to put you up onto the screen, and we'll be able to make it work from there. It's one of those things that we're still working on with this 9x16 thing. I might have to do 16x9 so that everybody can be seen if there's going to be a lot of us jumping on. But as it stands, that there's supposed to be like a picture-in-picture thing where you're at the top and I'm at the bottom, or something to that effect, where we both can be seen. I haven't tested it out to see if they've actually fixed it that way yet, but that's the way it's supposed to be. That way we can both split this 9x16 screen and still be able to hit that stream reel. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there. As technology improves itself, so will the streaming quality of the show. And I'm able to do what I got to do to help you guys improve along the way. So ready to break free from those dating apps and the grind of trying to find that special somebody on those dating apps. If you haven't already found somebody, because I know a couple of y'all, like Bayside's married, long time relationship, Ruderus in a pretty decent relationship, actually about I think 3 or 4 months in right now on his relationship. So there's a lot of us that actually have somebody, and then those of us that don't, we're going to be talking about old school stuff. We're gonna be taking it to the back. Mr. Satellite, especially recognizing 64 episodes. He's working on the goal of getting 100 episodes in, 100 episodes at the top. I'm waiting on the day when you hit 1,000 episodes, because I'm gonna be here every day of the week, and if you're gonna be here just about every day of the week too, when you hit 1,000, I would have hit 1,600. So hopefully we're still both running the stream hard for the longest period of time. Now let's see what happens when you search for love the old-fashioned way. No swipes, no algorithm, just real life moments and genuine connections. Mr. Satellite says, in the future, I might get 10 million episodes. Man, you get 10 million episodes, I'm going to have 10,600,000 episodes. Because I'm still going to be here 10 million episodes in. I'm still going to be here when the WWE goes off the air. I'm still going to be here. Well, I can't say that because, Shane McMahon might actually do something right and keep running the channel after Triple H is no longer here. But I could at least give you 30 more years. One of the longest running podcasts. That's going to be my goal. One of the longest running podcasts still in existence next to the WWE. I want to do that. And football, I want to do that. Turns into Voyager 1 spinning around. Oh, that's a different solar system. Now, I know I'm not alone in the feeling that dating apps can be exhausting. We've heard a lot of the people on the show that has been coming through on our Sundays, doing questions and comments, talking about how burnt out they are about being ghosted and other such situations. So many people struggle with the authenticity and endless small talk and the pressure to present a perfect image online. And it's easy to feel disconnected or even disillusioned, especially when genuine connections seem so rare and online connections are so insignificant. As it turns into Saturn's 130 moons. Oh, that would be pretty sweet. Is that something that we can see these days? I'd have to get a telescope and try to record that, being able to see the 130 moons on Saturn. Meanwhile, in a world obsessed with digital matchmaking, it's easy to forget that some of the most meaningful relationships start with a simple hello at a friend's party, a shared laugh in a class, or a chance encounter at your friend's coffee shop. That's why I'm exploring whether meaningful relationships can still blossom the old fashioned way. And I have the numbers to back it up. Y'all know I be doing statistics. I be getting facts. And that's one of the reasons why I was a little bit late. I mean, I had to run to the bathroom after I finished getting the show together. So I wasn't here when Satellite jumped in, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to get started. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, there goes Satellite. Satellite says, hello guys, Mr. Satellite here, and today me and Bayside and Carl are Squid Games and we instantly beat it. So we had $973 billion. The ones who walked out before the doors closed, because that's how you win. All right. Now, through friends and social circles is still one of the most successful paths to love. 15 to 24% of couples meet this way, and relationships that start with a friend's introduction are 30% more likely to last longer term and go the distance compared to those that start online. Now, women particularly benefit from deep, supportive friendships that foster trust and compatibility, making these introductions especially powerful. Now, while only 2% of couples meet through hobbies or group activities, these relationships are often built on authentic connections and shared passions. So whether it's a book club, a sports team, or creative class, doing what you love can naturally bring you closer to someone who shares your values and interests. Now, this also specifically is in tune with whether or not you're doing something like active that you love to do, because those people that like to play video games spend more of their time at their house in a room secluded to themselves, and the only interactions that they have is with the people in their the game that they're playing, and there's very little interpersonal connection with that particular type of hobby. But other outdoor hobbies that require you to leave the house and engage with other people, those types of hobbies are very good for the development and engagements that could lead to long-term relationships. Carl says, I think I want to go live on another planet. Maybe I will find someone compatible because all these women are crazy on Earth. Well, the women can be challenging, but it is a interesting scenario, that because I'm not gonna disagree with you, Carl. I'm just saying that there are some that are less complicated. They're just harder to find, and I believe that we're just looking in the wrong place, or some of us are just looking in the wrong country, which is why international dating is starting to become more of a thing, because the women that have not been spoiled by the riches of society are more humble and less demanding, and it makes it more reasonable for the average individual to meet expectations that are manageable by the majority. When an individual sets expectations that can only be met by the top 1%, you're not going to find but 1% of individuals that can meet that mark. Ironically, the problem that we have with that is that if only 1% of individuals can meet that mark, the other 99% are not an option for 99% of women that are having that same expectation, which makes it more difficult for modern society to have those dates. I'll get back to that in just a second. Mr. Satellite said, hello, guys. Mr. Satellite here today. Me and Bayside Carl are in octopus games. He going in. He's getting octo dollars. All right. It's not their fault. It's their upbringing. Well, it is. Okay, so their upbringing is the core to their poor decision-making skills. It is their modern day poor decision-making skills and a refusal to learn from past mistakes that leads them to continuing the negativity that they learned in their childhood. It is also societal influences, because if guys who the girl is not interested in is willing to flash his cash or get expensive cars, and first date has to be this expensive first impression kind of thing, where it's not impressing her with him and his character, it's impressing her with his capabilities to spend money. This dynamic, if a woman goes on 40 first dates, she goes on 40 fantastic first dates with 40 different guys that she's not interested in, but she went just to see how the date would go. But the thing is that the women don't think about the fact that the man that's investing in 40 first dates have paid for 40 different women to go on a first date for them to not be interested in the man, but they went to see how the date would go. If the women were tasked with spending money on the first 5 dates at minimum, and that was the social expectation, then we would be in a situation where women would not feel as entitled to that expensive first date, because at the end of the day, no woman is going to want to spend $150, $250 a night 3 times a month or more to take 3 to 4 different guys out to a restaurant to find out if he likes her enough to see her a second time. And if he does like her enough to see her a second time, she would have to spend 3 or 4 more times before the man financially takes over the courting phase. If that dynamic sat there, women would not be as readily willing to say, oh, let's go do something expensive. You have to impress me. You have to wow me. Because if she would have to do that for guys, she'd be like, no, that's too much money. Because they're on the receiving end. They say, well, why only good men are capable of doing that? So now the quality and character of the man is based on the quantity of money in his wallet or his budgeting strategy, because some men that are good men that think that it's fiscally irresponsible to do an overly expensive date are going to deter themselves from such behaviors, and taking her somewhere cheap to get to know her might be the thing to do. And then the lady might decide that he's not spending enough money on the date, so he's not valuable enough. And that will be catastrophic for longevity. And men are going to be on the short end of that particular dynamic. But yeah, society does play a good role on that. Now, Bayside said old-fashioned dating was rooted in a deeper sense of admiration and respect, but modern dating is transactional about what you can get from each person. And that is definitely a true statement. The fact is that because the men in modern times are primarily focused on sex, they are willing to pay the cost to go on the date to get the sex. Women that, especially financially challenged women, low income women that are more interested in the money, the need of financial subsidy, are willing to go on these dates in hopes that they find a man that will subsidize their income, even if that doesn't turn into a relationship, because he could be in the friend zone and provide her emergency capital, or he could be in a relationship with her and provide her with financial subsidies on a genuine basis, on a regular basis, where she still does not have to do much more than, sleep with the guy on a regular basis, at her discretion, as a matter of fact, because she's not even doing it whenever he feels like it. She does it whenever she feels like it, because she still controls the sex. The guy controls the companionship. So the dynamic is that the men end up renting the girl, and the girl gets the financial stability that she's looking for, even if she's not interested in the guy. Now, if she ends up becoming more attracted to another guy, or she finds a guy that has more assets and resources, then we might see a situation where she will navigate from the current guy that she's involved with and navigate to a different guy. If something happens where the current guy that she's involved with reduces his capital, he doesn't have as much money as he used to have when they first started dating, then you will find situations where she will potentially change away from that as well, where, there was a standard of living that I thought you were going to be able to uphold, and now you can't uphold that, and she may push from there. So that those are going to be genuine problems that we have to overcome in relationships. Carl said, just met a couple at the grocery store that have been married for 60 years. Nowadays, if things get hard, they end up walking out instead of working things out. And that is the truth. Oh, yeah. What was that noise? That's Buttercup. Buttercup is always right up underneath the speaker. Buttercup is always right up underneath the speaker, fluffing the carpet, trying to get comfy so that she can go take her a nap. Kane is always right next to Buttercup. Go lay down. And it's like the speaker's right here and they're right there next to the speaker, chawing up the carpet. Where noise canceling doesn't work on that one. Oh, cute. Yeah. Kane is cute too. They're adorable. Sometimes they are underfoot, but I'm okay with that, because it's better for me to have them underfoot than to not have them at all. Bayside says, hey, Carl, 60 years. Shit. They deserve brag all they want. I would have say so. Shit. Much respect to that couple. And I agree with them. I agree with both of you guys that 6 years is a hard journey to cross. There's going to be infidelity involved in that. There's going to be misunderstandings, miscommunications, arguments, mood swings. But 60 years, that's a lifetime. Some people don't live to be 60, 61 years old. These people have been together for 60 years, where likely in their 70s and 80s, they met when they were in their teens, and they spent the rest of their lives together. Where nowadays we can't find somebody in our middle ages and spend 20 years with them. We can't even put ourselves together to wrap our minds around a 20-year plan in a long-term relationship, where if we had a 20-year financial plan with a romantic partner, we would be millionaires inside of 10 years, so we can meet somebody while we're broke and be rich before it's over and have no reason to part, because we made ourselves millionaires. We'd be so focused on making ourselves more financially successful, it'll be more about us making more money together than it would be about us separating, because we would lose money separating than what we would staying together. Carl says, yo, Bayside, they said they always put God first in their relationships, and those people who do find themselves with less temptation. Save the Twin Towers by putting barriers around the Twin Towers. Well, I mean, we could have, if they would have just listened to some of the people who said don't let them planes take off, they probably would not have had that situation. People go through changes every 10 years. Yes, they do. They go through change. So this means that in a 60-year relationship that this couple would have gone through 6 different levels of changes, if not 12 different levels of changes, because while people go through changes every 10 years, each person doesn't go through changes in the same year. So he might have gone through changes one year and she might have gone through changes on the next year. And every 5 or 10 years, they're dealing with obstacles and hurdles that they would have to go through, but they stayed with it and made it work. And that's one of the things that we forget about in our modern relationships. And I strongly encourage people to try to put more effort into a change of mindset and always looking for an alternative where both parties are indulging the idea of putting in more effort to see improvement, where I'm trying, instead of me having a problem and blaming you for the problem, me having a problem and trying to find ways for me to do better to fix it from my end, then notifying you that there is a problem that needs to be addressed and asking you if you can also brainstorm on ways where you can put forth effort to make things better from your end. So if I'm trying from my end and you're trying from your end, we should be able to work this out. Mr. Satellite said, Bayside, make a story about comedy on Netflix. Any comedy about me, you, Xander, and Carl. The countries are back in round 4. I lost my wife because I was a selfish person. I didn't know how selfish I was till I read my Bible. I became born again Christian, which totally changed my life. More of a relationship than a religion. That is the truth. That's one of the things that you got to think about. That is one of the things that you have to think about, is that we will find ourselves putting more effort into trying to find an inner peace, becoming more humble, and we'll be able to see ourselves doing a lot more stuff that we was originally not doing. But it's not something that a lot of us are ready to do. Oh yeah, well, special shout out to Max Opposer. Oh yeah, we got to throw Max Opposer in. Max, one of those longtime fans. I appreciate. We're about to keep moving real quick. So appreciate you dropping in, Max Opposer. Special shout out to Max's dad, Joe. Moving on. Sorry to hear about losing your wife, but excited to hear you have a great relationship with God. It is definitely much appreciated to know that you were able to find humbleness thereafter. And it's one of the hardest things that we have to adjust to, but it requires us to. I actually had a talk with a pastor on a side note, and he was telling me that he would not help certain people unless he put them to the test and bring them closer to God first. And I explained to the man that individuals that are going through trials and tribulations, individuals that are going through hardships, they're not focusing on God at the moment. They're focusing on the troubles that they're encountering. And individuals who are pulled out of those hardships, even if it's temporary, if they're pulled out of those hardships, the first thing that they do is they thank God for sending somebody to pull them out of those hardships. So you bring people closer to God by first pulling them out of their hardships, which ironically was in the Bible when the Lord said, go into the den of sin and find those souls that are lost and bring them out. He didn't say go in there, baptize them, save them in there, and then bring them out. He said, go get them. Go get the ones that didn't know that they were lost, enlighten them on another way, bring them out of the den of sin, and then show them another way. Now, That is coupled with him telling the disciples to go out into the world and preach the word of God to those that are willing to listen, as opposed to bringing them all collectively here and forcing them to stay here to hear the word, where they will only hear the word here. That's not what he said. He said, go out and go find them and educate them out there. So between bringing the word out to the parties and enlightening the people out there, and then as they learn, they come back for more. That is what was expected. Now, since not a lot of us are aware of that, everybody goes and sits in a church and they wait for them to receive the enlightenment. And as they sit there and wait to receive the enlightenment, some of them come to find out that it was a stressful day to make it to church on time and put on that persona. And then when they get out of church, they go back to the same old things that they was once doing, but they never found any difference because they weren't there to find a revelation. They weren't there to find a new beginning. They were there to go through the motions. If I'm going through the motions, I ain't going, because I can find better things to do than to sit here and put on a show for a few hundred people that I don't know, to sit in the audience for somebody else who's putting on an even bigger show for the 200, 300 of us, so that I can give them 10% of my income because I'm paying for the show. But people aren't thinking about that these days. Carl said, I'm glad she left because I don't think I would have changed. You wouldn't have, because toxicity will keep bringing more toxicity. Carl continues to say, I have amazing peace Jesus has given me. And, you know, sometimes once we get rid of that toxic ex, sometimes we find ourselves with a whole new life. I told you guys these statistics that when men leave a woman, or a woman leaves a man, the man's income increases 41%, because that's the quantity of capital that he usually spends on his woman. Women tend to lose 21% more income, 40% more income, depending on how much the man is spending on her for her personal needs, but at least a 21% dip that women experience, and they have to dip into their savings and finances to recoup the loss of getting rid of the man. The man gains 41% income and is able to build a larger savings and investment platform by removing the woman from his financial obligations, which goes to show women that, you know, in this modern egalitarian society that women, at least feminist women, claim that we're supposed to be in, it is not 50-50. Because if it was 50-50, then if you two split up, you're not supposed to see a financial deficit. You're not supposed to see a change. If you're putting in 50% and he's putting in 50%, then you should pay 50% more and he should pay 50% more equivocally. Because instead of you sharing certain resources like rents, utility bills, and shared vehicles, you both have to have your own cars, houses, and utility bills. So you both should experience a financial decrease, because you're going to have to spend more money on individual stuff instead of combining on bulk stuff. But because men have an increase of capital because they're spending less money on stuff that they shouldn't be spending money on, and women have a decrease in capital because they have to spend more money on the things that the man was spending money on, that's just evidence that relationships are not equal. There is a balance there where the things that men pay for provide the women with the things that the women want and sometimes need, and the things that women do provides the men with the stress relief that the men need to focus more on making money to get the women the things that they want. That's a balance. It's not equal, though. Now, about 10% of couples meet at work and in professional networks. So for men, 35% have had long-term relationships with a coworker, and 43% of those who date a colleague end up marrying them. Bro, can you chill? We are live. Kane over here coughing up a hairball. Go sit down, boy. Women often build smaller, deeper professional networks and strong inner circles of female colleagues that can triple the odds of career advancements and sometimes spark romances. Now, 3% of couples meet at religious or community gatherings where shared values help spark deeper connections, and volunteering or getting involved in local events isn't just good for your soul. It's also a great way to meet people who share your values and commitment to making a difference. Now, chance encounters are 3% of the people that meet in public spaces like coffee shops or gyms, and up to 11% connect at bars or parties. Now, these spontaneous moments can lead to powerful connections and prove that love can find you anywhere, even when you least expect it. Women particularly thrive in these real world settings where friend introduced couples see higher satisfaction and longevity, and women's supportive social circles can make introductions even more meaningful. Meanwhile, men are more likely to find long-term love through friends, work, or even spontaneous meetings at local hangouts, where I want to just let you guys know that it's worth noting that men's social circles are shrinking drastically these days, where only 27% report having 6 or more close friends, and 15% have none, no male friends. And this is crazy because they're out of that 15%, those guys might be in the friend zone where they might have a decent quantity of female friends. But we've already talked about the friend zone and how that's not beneficial for the guy, because even when we take all of the negativity of being emotionally and financially used in the friend zone, the fact is that guys are typically in the friend zone with a woman that he is emotionally attached to, which distracts him from establishing an emotional attachment with another female. So that is the biggest issue that I have with the friend zone, is because if he cannot separate his emotional attachment from his female friend, he could be introduced to another female that might like him, and he might ignore her advances, or she might pick up on his obvious feelings for the other woman, and then she may back down because she does not want to compete with someone else, even though that someone else is taken. A lot of men do this as well. If one man knows that another man that is interested in this girl, he will back down from his pursuit of that woman, especially if she is reciprocating the other guy's advances. So this is why the friend zone as guys is not beneficial. Now, this makes meeting people through friends or activities more challenging for men. Shrinking and less intimate social circles can make introductions even more rare and less effective for men. But men's friendships tend to be more activity based. So prioritizing hobbies and group activities can help expand social networks. But that just means that it's even more important to say yes to new experiences and step outside your comfort zone. There's also a real risk of social fallout if a romantic connection with a friend's introduction doesn't work out, potentially straining existing friendships or creating awkwardness within your group. For women, while friendships tend to be deeper and more supportive, they are also more susceptible to conflict and breakdowns, which can make introductions less reliable as a pathway to romance. And not all hobbies are social or conducive to meeting singles, and even shared interests don't guarantee romantic chemistry. Sometimes shared passions can even lead to competition, or rather, than meaningful connections as interests and priorities shift over time. You'll find that the initial bond may also weaken. So if we have individuals that are situational friends, locational friends, and you guys connect in that particular engagement, whatever it is, whether it's playing darts, bowling team, whatever the case may be, if you end up in a situation where the partner that you're interested in stops coming to the activities, the relationship and the bond tends to weaken because you guys only engage in this hobby. If her financial situation changes, which she can't afford to pay, or let's say the guy can't afford to pay, because usually if a girl can't afford to pay, the guy will insist on paying. Let's switch the narrative and say, well, the guy doesn't afford to pay and the girl's not interested in paying for the guy's way, so the guy can't go. So he stops going for a while because money is tight. Well, the bond between the guy and the girl will diminish in that particular situation. Now, failed relationships in the workplace is problematic in and of itself, because this can create uncomfortable or even hostile work environments. I was telling you guys just yesterday about this show called Pulse, where the girl was dating her boss, and then she reported him to HR when they broke up and got him in trouble with the job, and she almost got fired and he almost got fired. He actually did get suspended, but because it was during a hurricane, they allowed him to work anyway. But the fact is that his career was drastically put on the line because she filed a complaint with HR because she broke up with him. But the fact was, with that particular statement, was like they were living in the same house together. His clothes and toothbrush and everything was still at her house when they broke up. And the fact is that while there was a serious relationship happening there, she's making it seem like it is an unwanted advantage. These are the problems that men have to deal with in work environments. It is less likely for a woman to be reported to HR for sexual harassment if she is not belittling and shaming the man in front of the rest of the crew. But if she wants a relationship from him, or she's looking for some type of connection from him, more often than not, men say yes. There's very few times that a man says that I'm not interested unless he's just not attracted to her at all. But if there is some type of physical connection outside of the job, he's not reporting that to HR. They stop hooking up. He's not complaining about that to HR. It is what it is. But there's always the potential for gossip or damage to the professional reputation. And for women, networking with male colleagues can trigger negative stereotypes or concerns about being misjudged, while men may avoid close professional relationships with women due to the fear of crossing boundaries, limiting women's opportunities for connections and mentorship. Carl said, yeah. He said, never date anyone from work. Anyways, who wants to see the person 24 hours a day? Now, I want to marinate on that for a little bit. Being able to when you work more often than you don't work, say for those people that work 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, the people that you're on shift with, especially if they're on your shift from the time you get there until the time you get off, those people are going to be the first ones to give you the time of day. They're going to greet you. They're going to talk. They're going to speak positively to you. Those are going to be the ones that are going to support you when times are tough on a job. They're going to be your backbone when times are good on the job. They're going to celebrate with you. Sometimes some people like your personality and they coordinate their schedules with yours. So y'all are with one another every day that you work. They're there. And these are the things that you probably don't get at home. And that's where the relationships start. On the job relationships start when your romantic relationships at the house are not meeting your standards, but that same relationship is meeting your standards at the job. A relationship is a relationship, platonic or not. A friendship is a relationship. Work buddies, colleagues, that's a relationship. It's just a platonic one, supposed to be a professional one, but it does shift to other dynamics when you start putting physical contact in the fold. He said, you need a break or you will break. Well, okay, so if you're with somebody on the job, you're only with them while you're on the job. Here's another thing though, Carl. You got to think about this. Now, the first few months of your relationship, you guys are going to want to be around each other all the time, as long as you're getting along, as long as there's no fighting. Now, when a relationship starts becoming rocky, that's when you start having problems, because if y'all work the same shift together, y'all are going to bring your fight to the job. There's going to be petty squabbles back and forth, resentment. You can see the anger in each other's faces, this, that, and the third, and it's going to provide an awkward moment for the rest of the shift. Now, when the relationship is good, though, that's not the case. I agree that you're not going to want to see somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, it does make a good starting point for a relationship. And if you guys work for the same company, but work different shifts, she works day shift, you work night shift, she works weekdays, you work weekends, y'all might pass each other some of the time, but more often than not, y'all are not in the same location on the job site. This is different from having your desks right next to one another using the same computer. This is just being employed by the same employer, just at different times on different days. They have some places like restaurants like McDonald's and Burger King and stuff like that, where you have the husband work the day shift, the wife works a night shift, or if one's the boss, the husband might work in this store and the wife might work in a store down the street, where y'all still work for the same company, but you transfer to another department or another location so that y'all don't cross paths on the job, where you don't see each other every day at work, but you guys go to the same job. Y'all might go to work on the same days at the same times, where like you drop me off and you go to work, and then when I get off, I'm gonna come to your job and I'm gonna help you close, and then we both go home from work together, kind of situation, where you're still able to maintain a relationship outside of work and still work for the same company. It is possible. But it just depends on what kind of atmosphere you're imagining, because like a lot of us, when we think on the job relationships, we think law firms, we think accounting firms, we think everybody's got cubicles next to one another. And no, you don't want to be in a situation where you're that close to your partner, where y'all breathe the same air all day long. Then y'all go home and y'all got nothing to talk about. However, it is a good thing to have a partner that works on the same type of job that you work on, with the same security clearance that you have, specifically because if you have bad things going on your job and you're legally not allowed to talk about it unless somebody else with the same security clearance that you have is in the conversation, then you would be able to vent your stresses and frustrations about what you're going through with your partner. Like if you were working for a medical hospital, or if you were working for the CIA and your girlfriend was also working for the CIA and she had the same medical clearance, you could talk to her about your cases. If you're a police officer, she's a police officer too, you could talk to her about your cases. If you're a lawyer and she's the secretary of the law firm, you could talk to her about your cases. But if she's not employed with the company, you can't tell her anything. So if you're having a bad day, you can't tell her why. And that's one of the reasons why working with the person that you're dating might actually be beneficial, because you have more room for transparency, where you don't have the concern for jeopardizing legalities with NDA agreements. Bayside said, while we are on the topic of old-fashioned dating, I remember in high school, I loved receiving handwritten letters from girls sprayed with the perfume she wore. Yeah, those are the days, boy. Handwritten letters are timeless, and everyone loves it when they receive them. And you know that the funny thing about those handwritten letters, though, Bayside, is that we talked about that on the show quite a bit back in the day, because you have the sensory reception that is triggered memory recall from your senses, where her perfume or cologne when you guys were having a good time together triggers memories. So being able to rekindle past activities is always a good way to go by doing something like that. Guys can do that too. If you have a signature cologne that you wear, like, and especially if you have a signature cologne that you only wear with her, where you have a different cologne that you wear with other people, and you buy her a stuffed animal or something like that, and you spray that signature cologne on that stuffed animal, like really saturated in there. When she has that animal, she's thinking about you, because memory recall is the last time she smelled that smell, she was with you. Now, that goes even further, because widows can bond with another person who wears their late husband's cologne because it is the exact same sensory receptors that are triggered with endorphins and stuff. So this is actually really good stuff. And I encourage people to do that when it comes down to dealing with long-term relationships, or just being romantic and spontaneous without being overly expensive, because a couple of sprays out the bottle on a piece of 8x11 paper inside of a manila envelope or something like that might actually brighten up their day, or give them a whole new lease on life. I've said before that you could go through the trouble of writing your partner a love letter and mailing it to the house. Like, just put it in an envelope, take it to a different location, drop it into one of those outside drop box scenarios, and let it spend 3 to 5 days to get to you, so that once it finally gets to the house, your partner's got mail. That's not a bill collector, telling them how important they are, how great their day is, this, that, and the third. And, that goes a long way. Bayside also said, LOL, a lot of people divorced or broke up during COVID. Bro, you had a lot of people in COVID. You had a lot of people in COVID that had to really face the decisions that they made, because y'all can't go nowhere now. When we only seen one another when we was hooking up, I mean, you could be blindsided by the passions of the oh, all right, Carl, I'm gonna see you later, man. I really appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I hopefully get a chance to see you too, and give your mother some love for me. I really appreciate you coming through, man. Thank you so much. But you could be blindsided by the physical passions when you go over to somebody's house who's disorganized, and you will ignore the mess, get into the thrill of things, and then move on, and then go back to your house, and your house is organized. They can come to your house, and because they're not bringing anything with them, they may not express the level of disorganization. And outside of you guys ripping each other's clothes off, that's probably the only mess that this individual has contributed. And then when that person grabs their individual clothes and leaves, they're leaving with their stuff, so they're not leaving a mess. So you're not really noticing that. But that one pet peeve of being highly organized might actually trigger you when you guys are living in the same place, and your partner's just throwing stuff all over the place and not cleaning up behind themselves, and they don't have to go to work. You're cleaning up behind them, and it is extra work. Yeah, they're gonna get pissed off at each other and be like, "No, I'm not doing it." So there are a lot of divorces over COVID. A lot of divorces when you gotta deal with somebody's true self 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, you can ignore people's pet peeves when it's only for the moment. A non-smoker can deal with a smoker if I'm only there for a few hours, if I'm only there for a few minutes. But a non-smoker is not going to be able to deal with a smoker moving into their house and smoking inside the house, smoking in the bedroom, smoking in the bathroom, smoking in the kitchen. So everywhere you want to be at, you've got to deal with choking on smoke. That's not going to work. That relationship isn't going to last very long. Special shout out to Usman. Usman just dove in today. I love this. Standing on higher ground. I love this part. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Usman's walking on fire. He's got the gangrel entrance. He coming in like the Brood. Now the reporter says, Mr. President, what can you tell us? President, the data outage was not a cyber attack. T-Mobile said that Xander decided to do a 4-hour stream yesterday. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They had to fix that. Yeah. I had to call them. They were like, my bad, bro. My bad. I got to call them like in the next 2 days, and they're going to have to take that $150 off my bill. I mean, you got to ring that phone. But yeah, that is true, and like you said, Bayside, there's also habits that each other have, and your habits, the things that you do, like little quirky things that you do that you might do at your house. Like some people like to pick their nose and smear it all over the furniture, and you might not be down with that kind of stuff. You got all kinds of strange and abnormal habits that you might not be too okay with. And then when you get involved with this individual and you find out that this individual has these habits that they were keeping a secret, now that you're in their secret space, you're invading their no-no zone. And that's when like Pandora's box has been opened and you're like, oh, hell no. And you start breaking out like the Omen. You start running like Blair Witch Project. You try to hightail it all out of there because that's not what you wanted. Now, for women, chance encounter situations can carry safety concerns and a higher risk of unwanted attention or harassment. But for men, there can also be concerns about social or even legal repercussions if advances are misinterpreted. So casual encounters are more likely to lead to regret or negative feelings, especially for women due to social stigmas and emotional risks. Serendipitous meetings are unpredictable, and it's often hard to gauge compatibility quickly in these settings. Now, while community and volunteering activity settings can attract people with shared values, they don't always translate to compatible lifestyles or relationship goals, where community groups can also be smaller or homogenous, restricting the diversity of potential partners. Usman said, great time and distance. Number 3, Earth to sun distance. Number 2, distance across the Milky Way in light years. And number 1, Xander's recent stream duration. Yeah, I gotta tell you, the last time I did a 5-hour, I've done a 6-hour podcast before, but that was during the inauguration. Oh no, that was during the election. I think I did a 5-hour sometime around the inauguration, because we were just talking about a lot of stuff that day. We had one of the fans that came in and he was talking about, we were doing the social injustice one with Michelle Obama, and dude like was on this thing trying to make it seem like I didn't know about law, I didn't know about all this other stuff. And I thought that was interesting, because I'm like, bro, we're talking about relationships today, and you're trying to be a lawyer, like. And he was hitting me with arbitrary case law that he learned from probably experiences in jail. And I'm like, yeah, but I can tell you specifically that there are other laws out there. Not all of them match the situations you were in, but you're supposed to know the laws to get you out of the situations that you're in. I'm just supposed to be highlighting stuff. But when we talk about social justice, I'm like, wait, I only mentioned social justice because the woman was in social justice, and being the first lady, she's now the boss of social justice. So what she did was her husband, she made him the president of the United States so that she could conquer her field and make changes from the top down instead of fighting her way up the chain by being independent. She would have been self-sacrificing because she would not have been able to achieve those goals. By focusing on her husband, making him successful, his success aided her with being successful. I was like, bro, that's that all women should have that mentality. What I want to do with my life requires my man to be more successful. So let me make him more successful so that I can get what I want out of life. And that's only from the mentality that the women that want a man that's going to encourage her and empower her and work her through her career choice, those women are going to be choosing the kind of man that can do that. So she's got to put more effort into him so that he could put more effort into her. Bayside says Xander had a Cory Booker moment. I think, who is Cory Booker? I've had a biblical moment today of I've had a lot of I want to have to research that guy later. Who's Cory Booker? I've had a Cory Booker moment today. At least I didn't have a Booker T moment today. Spin a Rooney, five time. I haven't done that yet. Oh, Usman, the man, the legend. Yeah. Oh, definitely. The Democratic speaker who talked for like hella hours straight. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that does fit because I am democratically positioned. No pun intended by the blue and black suit. I am democratically positioned, but I also noted that none of the policies represented by the Democratic Party actually represented any of my values. I also recognize that none of the policies from the Republican Party benefited any of my values either. However, I could at least adapt to the values from the Republican Party as opposed to trying to adapt to the values of the Democratic Party. Well, any person that does their research is going to be smart. So I agree with you on that. He should, the senator. Oh, so Senator Carl Booker. But he's got to do a lot of research to do his position. And we've got Mr. Ruderus in here.
My network is my network. Choose your company wise. So
Having in for us tonight. I really appreciate Ruderus coming in. He's kicking my butt and chest all over again. I see him turning this upside down real soon.
That's my personal command.
He said, Mr. Smooth moves. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm like the Shaft of podcasts right now. I have definitely done some of the most interesting topics, and it's been a roller coaster, I got to tell you. And a lot of the times when we touch on some of our sensitive topics, we get limited exposure because outside of the reactions from the fans and the comments from the fans and being shared to other platforms where people can see us inorganically, we don't get shown as often because of some of the controversial topics that we talk about. So it does put us through a very interesting collage of successes and failures as far as algorithms and traffic. But be that as it may, I don't care one way or another. We're gonna make it. I'm going to make it outside of YouTube, and then that success will aid YouTube channel in being successful. So down the line, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be wondering where I've been all of these years since Kevin Samuels, and they're going to be like, damn, I want to keep coming back here, because not only do we talk about how to improve ourselves socially, we also talk about how we can improve ourselves financially. And that's one of the things that brings the whole atmosphere together. Basically, I said I would love to see the comments from the audience. Well, that depends on what days of the week that we have, because when we have audiences, is that on the other media handles. We've got a lot of other media handles that, okay, so here's the thing. The ones that are talkers, they pop up in the same comment stream and all of y'all go up on the stream. I'm dealing with Twitch and Twitter that are more watch and listen and less speak. And it took me a lot of encouraging guys here on YouTube, because not a lot of people are used to having an interactive podcast. The interactive podcasts are more seen on Twitter, or not on Twitter, on TikTok. So even on TikTok, the back and forth action on TikTok only happens when TikTok doesn't limit the viewership because of controversial statements that are made, because TikTok's algorithm listens to what's being said on the show. And if you say too many political statements on the show, they limit your exposure, and then not too many people get to see you. Then on the other side, you can end up getting a lot more comments if they don't limit your exposure, and then you'll start seeing a bunch of commenters coming in from TikTok. So, and I put everybody's comments onto the screen. So, like we had a couple of guys come in and talk to us from Twitch one time before, but again, Twitch is a gaming platform where people just listen. They're not used to jumping up onto the show and engaging. So technically, a lot of these platforms, I could pre-record the show and then release it, and nobody would even know that I pre-recorded the show, but I prefer to do it live. Rudo says, by the way, how was your day? Well, my day was late. The whole day was late, but it doesn't change the fact that I still got a lot of things done. I'm almost done one of the larger projects that I have to do, and then I'm going to start doing that cooking video. I still have to piece together. Satellite wanted me to do a short for him, so I'm going to do a short for Satellite, and then I have to notify Dina by doing a short, putting together a collage of some of the moments where I have promoted her product, so that she knows that I need her to send me the bottle so that I can further promo the product. And then we're going to be working on that. And then I'll be able to finish with some of the other projects that I have to do. So you're going to see the cooking channel side of me coming out real soon. I also have to pick up the This and That apron, the cooking apron, the chef's apron. So we're going to be seeing that coming up soon. And yeah, I'm going to be, what's that show on Netflix? The retired Yakuza husband. I'm going to be in the kitchen in a suit with an apron on cooking. My chef suit, literally. Bayside said, yeah, I noticed that you always read the comments where other people just tap in once in a while and comment. Yeah, well, I try to engage all of the fans that come to the show. I try to engage all the viewers that come to the show, and that this is in my observation, a new style of podcast, because I am interactive with the fans on a more often than not controversial topics. Typically, channels, especially channels with high viewership that have a large quantity of people commenting in, there is an open discussion, and then there's a side discussion in the comment section. So the people will watch the discussion on the channel and then sometimes read the comment section, and the comment section is not, it's a side topic. It is not in line with what's going on. So like, you'll have a bunch of the fans that are bouncing back and forward. They'll be debating with each other about what was said on the show, but the host of the show is not engaging the comment section at all. So I have not seen or heard of many, not even on TikTok, many, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys for having conversations with me. There's not very many channels, not even on TikTok, where the people in the feed is actually recognizing the comment section. Typically, the channels that have females that are showing off and they're just there. Sometimes they have music, sometimes they're just sitting there, and they might hold a one-on-one conversation with the people that are there, complimenting their attire, this, that, and the third. There's very few times that there's a dude in there that's like just directly having one-on-one conversation with the audience. But to be real, like, just to be having a self-improvement type of conversation, not just a clickbait topic that everybody's got something to say. Like if I was to sit here and talk about the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef, or, you know, the Diddy thing, or the R. Kelly video, or all this, you know, so clickbait topics where people who could change their lives are more focused on what celebrities are doing. Instead of me having those types of conversations, I have conversations about how we could actually take what we're doing, learn from it, improve ourselves, and then be able to come back to the show next day, next week, next month, and talk about how their situation is better because they have been applying the knowledge and information that they've learned from coming to the show. That's something that not too many podcasts have done. So since that's a rare niche, I said, I'm going to dive in that, and I'm going to try to monopolize it for as much as possible. But it's harder to do. It's harder to do. Because not all of the topics are people interested in until they come and they find out. And then they're like, oh, this, I could actually learn something here. It's not one that's taking shots, but if the shoe fits, you probably should take some advice to change the shoe size. And then I was sitting over here thinking about what happens when there are more people than I can keep up with the comment section. And that's why I encourage individuals who want to jump in. Like Satellite got in today, but he got in while the show was on. So I couldn't hear Satellite's voice when Satellite was trying to talk to me when the show was airing. But I was going to put Satellite on the show as soon as the show went live. But he got off before I could put him up. So he stayed in the comment section. But what we would do, I believe we could fit about 8 to 10 people on the live, and then we could fit quite a few people in the green room for those individuals that want to go up next. And there is a way with this particular type of platform, I would have to switch the screen to a 16:9 screen. But in that scenario, we would have like me and 6 or 7 other people on the screen, the commenters coming in as well and shifting people in and out. And I think once it starts becoming as interactive as that, I strongly believe that we're going to have more group discussions. So when it comes down to those people that put in repetitive, positive comments, insight, intuition, knowledge, those people will end up on the screen first. And then the people with the comment section, they'll be mentioned as well. So even if I don't have the floor, if somebody else is talking and a comment comes up, their comment will go up at the top of the screen somewhere. Or if we're doing a 16:9, it might come across the bottom of the screen, but it'll still be up there where everybody could see it, so that we can know the side discussion in addition to the primary discussion. And it'll like I said, it'll turn it into a group discussion. I plan on, like I said, hanging out here for 20 or 30 more years, and probably 5 more years in, I see us in a scenario where we have that type of atmosphere. And I think it's going to be a fantastic show because everybody's going to learn from something. And I'm not the only wise man on earth. So I know that if I can find a bunch more like you guys that's been coming on, and with 5 or 6 of y'all up here providing wise words and wise advice alongside me, that I could see a lot more people coming to learn something from a lot more people, where instead of us having a panel of naysayers and a panel of people that are belittling and disparaging other people, you'll have a panel of people that are providing insight and intuition on how to make better choices and make changes so that we can see a more successful future, because that's really what we need. And in such a volatile country right now, this is the best time to do it, because as it's going down, I just seen a trend that just came to my attention about a week before the ex-dividend date on some of your stocks. You'll notice that your stock option goes up, right? So you invest in something, like I told you to, you've seen that it was on a down, and now you see it starting to go back up. Right before the ex-dividend date, it starts going right back up. Then you'll see right after the pay date on some of those that it'll start going back down again. When it is up, you want to make sure that you don't sell before the ex-dividend date. Just because it's up doesn't mean you should sell. You got to check your ex-dividend date versus it being up, and then say, okay, I got my payout, I can sell today. And then when it goes back down, you can buy back in with your payout and have even more shares. So that's another trick of the trade that you could take with you with your stock investment tools, as far as mitigating shares and other such, or ETFs and stuff. Because once I seen that trend, I was like, oh, bet. So now I'm looking at not only the market fluctuations, I'm looking at the fluctuations during payout periods, because quarterlies are going to be lower in month 1 and start growing in month 2 and really start growing in month 3, so that come month 3 at the ex-dividend date, the money is already on the table. Then a few days after the payout from that month 3, at the beginning of the new quarter, you start seeing a big dip in that particular stock. So watching that rise and fall will give you the opportunity to say, okay, I'm gonna buy in now, and then I'm gonna sell at this point over here before they run and make money for me. But again, that's going to lead you into being a day trader. So you'll find yourself doing these types of transactions. If you have enough of these transactions to do on a regular basis, you're probably going to spend 2 to 4 hours a day, once a day, making these trades. And then that's your full day's work. And if you do that 7 days a week, 4 hours a day, that's 28 hours a week worth of work, which is a full-time job, almost 30 hours a week. So, but you'll be working 31 hours a week, or not 31 hours a week. You'll be moving 28 hours a week, moving money around so that your money makes money for you, which is more passive than residual, because you're just doing research and then just point, click, and that's it. Whereas residual is that you've got to go out, you've got to find a house, talk to the person, close on a deal, put all this money up, get your finances in order. Then after you close on a deal, you got to find somebody to come and fix the place. You got to find somebody to sell the place. You got to find somebody to buy the place. And while all of this stuff is working, you got to find another place to go buy, so that when this place is sold, you can go buy another place. That is residual work. So we've talked about that before. Now, back to the main topic. Many men are struggling with initiating conversations or approaching new people, where 52% of men cite this as a major barrier to meet potential partners. Repeated rejection and being placed in the friend zone can lead to frustrations and discouragement for men as well. Women are more likely to report difficulty finding someone who meets their expectations, where 56% to 35% of men, and someone seeking the same type of relationship, 65% versus 45% of men. So I'm going to give you that statistic again, because I think that was a little bit misconstrued. The women are 56% more likely to report difficulty finding someone who meets their expectations, where men are 34% making the same determination. And with women, 65% of them are saying that they're having trouble finding someone that is seeking the same relationship style, where men are 45% saying the same thing. So more women are having problems finding men that meet their expectations, and more women are finding more problems with finding men that have the same relationship goals. Less men are having a problem finding women that meet their expectations, and less men are having trouble finding women that have the same relationship goals. But there are still men there that's doing it. Now, real life interactions also let you pick up on subtle cues and body languages, which are crucial for building genuine connections. And this is not something that's going to be readily recognized with text communication. And that's one of the reasons why I encourage a lot of people that do start off online dating platforms. I encourage them to work their way to in-person engagements, or video communication, at the very least, video communication that would lead to in-person engagements, where if you don't have the network connection to operate video communication. You want to do audio communication at the very least below video communication, and try to stay away from text communication. But if there's no other choice but text communication because you're at work right now, then yeah, utilize that to maintain connection. But you want to do something that in some way, shape, or form, where there's Skype, there's WhatsApp, WeChat, all these other different platforms where you can video connect with the person on a free platform. You need to aim for that before anything else, until you guys can spend time in person. Now, whether you're volunteering, joining a club, or just chatting with someone at a coffee shop, these moments can be the start of something special. And that's one of the reasons why I've told you guys it's really important to just take her to a Starbucks, go get some burnt coffee get some burnt coffee from a McDonald's drive-thru, and go sit at a Waffle House. Get you some burnt coffee from a Waffle House, go sit outside the Waffle House and just hang out. You know, just relax. Because if you did that, you would find yourself genuinely getting to know the other person. Many people have incredible stories about meeting their partners at a concert, through a mutual friend, or even while traveling. And these relationships often stand the test of time. Many people also report that love found them when they were not actively searching. And this comes from my recommendation that if you find somebody attractive on their job, see what happens. You could be table 6, and if the waiter or waitress is single, you could leave your contact information with the tip so that person could contact you later after they get off from work and see where it goes. So many different thirsty guys go to gentlemen's clubs and strip clubs and this, that, and the third, and try to cap and save them, and provide them with an out to selling their bodies for capital. And these girls are getting that offer from men so much that they take advantage of the capital because they need the money first and foremost. But the truth of the matter is that if you're going to a reputable establishment, bank teller, cashier, if they're looking out for you while you're looking out for them in that particular conversation, you could turn that into something important. The person the stock person in the aisle at the grocery store, because the first thing that question number 1, what do they do for work? You already have that question. You already have that question answered. Then you might actually get their generic government name, because if they're working on a job that has name tags, you can read their name tag and know exactly who they are, which gives you the second thing that you really need from them. Then the third thing you need to get from them is their character. That's it. So finding them on the job and then trying to meet up with them whenever they're not working, that gives you the ability to try to establish something a little bit more defined. Now, focusing on personal growth, pursuing passions, and being open to new experiences often creates the right environment for organic connections to form. As one account puts it, often the most meaningful connections happen when you least expect them. Love has a way of finding you when you're busy living your life. Now, this is not a saying that goes to live your best life YOLO kind of stuff. This is a situation where when you're focusing on your tasks, you're achieving your goals, you are improving yourself, you're recognizing your own successes, you are celebrating your overcoming your obstacles, not by wasting money, but by self-recognition. The glow that you emit from being self-sustainable and self-successful, where you are not wallowing in self-pity, that glow attracts other people. That person got their shit together. I want to go see what they doing. Then they come to find out you got a good personality, you got a well-respectable attitude, you're highly educated, and they want to know more about you. Now, as long as you say, yes, we can go and hang out somewhere reasonable and see what else we can find out about each other, you are able to turn that chance encounter into a long-term relationship. So if you're feeling burned out by dating apps, remember, you can absolutely find love by living your life, nurturing your interests, and expanding your social circles. The statistics shows that meaningful long-term relationships are still being formed every day, often in the most unexpected places. Meeting someone organically can require more patience and effort, as it may take longer to encourage someone who is single. It takes longer to encounter someone who is single, compatible, and interested at the same time. Because they might be interested, they might be compatible, but they might not be single. However, many find it more authentic and less transactional than app-based dating, even though we understand the complications of waiting. So why not give it a try if you're not already married? Embrace new experiences, put yourself out there, and let love find you in the most unexpected places. Whether you're joining a club, volunteering, or just saying yes to that next invitation, every step outside of your comfort zone, every step outside of your house, every step off of a social media platform is a chance to meet someone special. If you found love without using apps, I'd love to hear your stories as well. Make sure that you leave your first date in the comments in case you didn't know. And have you found other ways to meet a partner without trying to utilize apps as well? We definitely love to hear those stories as well. Nevertheless, I really encourage you guys to share your long-term relationships, because this is going to be a very motivational experience for those individuals that are still looking. Because one of the things that we come to find out is that as hard as it is, no matter how long you've been at it, if you can hear a success story after all of that time, you know that you still have hope to achieve that goal. When most people recognize that failure is inevitable, that resistance is futile, that you will be assimilated into failure, you start recognizing that it's time to give up. But no matter how long it's been, no matter how tough it's been, if somebody comes back and taps you on the shoulder and say, hey, I know it's tough, but I did it. This person did it. That person over there did it. And it took us 5 or 7 more years than you to get it done, but it is doable. You just got to never give up. That motivation allows individuals to find a second wind, a second head of steam, and keep pushing for a higher level of success. And ultimately, you will find that these real life connections are worth it. Nothing worth having isn't worth fighting for. You just have to remember that there's a difference between fighting for something and fighting with something. You are not trying to force somebody to be with you. You are trying to find the person that will voluntarily never leave your side. And that is a character issue, not a monetary investment issue. You're looking for somebody who is looking for your success with them, their success through you, so that you guys can be successful together. Now, I want you guys to make sure that you don't miss out on the next videos that we have on tips to build real connections and find meaningful love through these relationship topics in today's modern world. Y'all know that tomorrow we have our questions and comments with the fans, because tomorrow is Sunday night. Depends on how the questions and comments come out, because I have not grabbed all the comments out of the comment sections. And I have comments that do come in after the show on some platforms other than YouTube. So I will be grabbing them from everywhere. I don't get a chance to respond to all the platforms that send me comments. I prioritize YouTube because you guys show us the most interaction. So I greatly appreciate that. And I try to respond to you guys as quickly as possible. But Twitch, Twitter, you guys got comments. Y'all throw y'all comments into the comment section, and I got you guys as quickly as possible. TikTok will come to find out that when they throw some comments, they're going to get a response as well. Still able to upload videos onto the TikTok platform, but that requires a whole nother level of editing, which I should put some more effort back into, because we were running like 60,000 views a month on TikTok. It's just a lot of work, and I have to invest in a second person so that somebody can handle the video editing and the posting. So we got to turn over enough capital to pay a second person to aid me in being successful with getting the news out. These are the things that we talk about when we say that as the channel improves, as more capital comes in on behalf of the channel, the more stuff that we can do for the rest of the fans, because we're trying to intermerge. And that's another thing that I'm doing in this niche that not a lot of other podcasts are doing. I'm trying to intermerge multiple channels together. So we've got Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok, and there's a couple of others that we want to put on here. I think that StreamYard can handle up to 8 platforms at a time. So we're trying to see what we can do about getting at least 4 to 6 of them together. But right now we've got about 4 of them, and 3 of them that we're using right now because we're not sure when they're going to sell TikTok. Bayside said, hey, Xander, how about like a movie recommendation night or something of that nature? Being that you have the World Wide Web, international recommendations would be cool for movies. Yeah, you do have a point there. You want recommendations for in-person movies, or you want recommendations for like movies on streaming platforms? Because I can give you a lot of stuff on Netflix. I can give you a lot of stuff on some recommendation platforms, but that requires people to buy memberships. I can tell you what's in the theaters that is good in certain city, states, and countries around the world. I can do that. Not a problem. Because here on This and That, we talk about this, that, and everything in between, and having good places to go to watch a movie. I am going to tell you it's a good date night, but it's not a good first date night. It's not even a good third date night, because really the first 3 to 5 dates, you want to know the person. But once you know enough about the person where you're willing to commit, a date night where you guys are interacting with one another as in a movie, that is perfect. That is a perfect date night. Movies in theaters or coming out, just a topic. Oh yeah. So I can actually at the top or bottom of a show, I can always just throw in just some guess what's coming out soon kind of thing on my way out. I don't have to make a whole show about the movies that are upcoming, release dates and other such stuff. I can actually add that in at the bottom end of any show, like we were doing when we were talking about the different jobs that you can do to get paid to talk, to get paid to stand there, to get paid for your presence. I was just throwing those in at the bottom of social functions shows. I'm talking about, hey, you could work here on the way out the show. Now I can just throw those in, and towards the end of the show, be like, oh, by the way, you can check out these movies in the next like 7 days or something like that. I can try to do that at least once a week, and queue up, because I don't want to be late about it. I want to make sure that I catch all of the releases that are supposed to be coming out over the next like 2 to 3 weeks, so that you guys can know what's coming out, and then also which countries will be doing that. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah. I can that could be like a sub segment into the show, because once we start cooking, you guys are going to end up with like, oh, what's that food? Because if I'm cooking it before the show, I'm eating it that day. Because of enchiladas, I got to get there. Special shout out to Fit Chef. We're going to be working with a lot of things over here. So I'll probably try to piece it together and see if I can throw it in on Thursday, this Thursday, and see if there's anything. But if there's something coming out between now and Thursday, then I'll try to throw it in before that. But I'll try to see what's going on this Thursday and see what's going on with in theater movies that's going to be released soon, and which countries releasing which movies, and that way you guys can enjoy movie night, whether you're on a romantic date or with a friend, because that's a way to intermingle with people when you're at the movie theater. I'm a little bit more bougie than most, so I find myself like getting the bleacher seats. Not even a bleacher seats. I like to get the balcony with the recliner and, you know, VIP spacing, because I don't like being next to all of the people throwing popcorn and children ripping and running and stuff to that effect. I also have this issue with just not liking having people behind me. So I try to sit where I'm in the back, but close enough where I can see the screen kind of thing. And, you know, stuff like that. So with that being said, I definitely think that that's a good idea. He said, you mean Xander, Mr. Gordon Ramsay competitor? Yes, sir. Now, Gordon Ramsay, I heard of a TV or a movie about Gordon Ramsay, and I don't remember what it's about, but that is something that definitely caught my attention as soon as you put that up there. Well, currently I'm watching Cell 211 on Netflix. Pretty good. I haven't seen Cell 211. I've what we got going on? Because it says Netflix. I got a lot of stuff going on Netflix. Netflix is one of the things that I got playing in the background when I'm not doing my podcast, so that I can focus, because I have to be thinking about two things at one time or more in order to me to focus on one thing. Otherwise, I won't get started on anything. So I typically put on a movie in the background on Netflix, and I'll be listening to that while I'm doing a 5 or 10 hour project, so that I can get all my stuff done in between all of the other contracts that I fulfill. Weak Hero, I watched that one. That one was good. Ransom Canyon, I just started watching that the other day on Netflix. I have seen quite a few animes, but I definitely can tell you, hold on, that show that one was pretty good. Wait, I can get you they got some top picks up here. I can just tell you what I've been looking at on my list. Where's my list? There it is. Blacklist, if you haven't seen it, you need to go see that one. SWAT came out with a new season. Delicious Dungeon, I like that one. Rising Impact was good. Shield Hero, Black Clover. Let's see what else we got going on here. We got a lot of them up here. You want a list when you start talking about stuff to watch? I got things happening. When Life Gives You Tangerines. Dr. Stone, that one's really good. Gordon Ramsay's a celebrity chef. Oh, that's where I heard that name from. I knew I heard him from somewhere. The name Ramsay just triggered. Venom, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm about to see it. Devil May Cry came out as an anime. Let's see what else we got going on here. There's hundreds of these. The 100, you got to watch that if you haven't seen it. That's been out for a long time. I would have to look for new releases specifically, because I think they only put out on Netflix a select few new releases. They've got notifications on there that they tell me every couple days on Netflix. But yeah, I can go ahead and do that. I can take a look at some of the different shows that we would be potentially looking forward to coming soon, because just like I've been keeping track of GTA 6 and it looks like it might be pushed. It's supposed to come out in Q4 of 2025, but they're delaying the PC version because it's capped at 30 or 35 frames per second for the console, but it's supposed to have more frames per second on that when they do the later release for PC. But I've never played GTA on PC, so I don't really care. The GTA was always supposed to be a console game in my perspective. So once they started making consoles function like PCs, I mean, online gameplay, I kind of want to be a part of online gameplay, but I really just want the original game, because I don't really want to, I don't like the griefers that literally go in there and spend most of their time trolling the noobs. I'm not a big fan of that, because it takes the people who just started playing the game, it takes the fun out of the game for them before they get used to playing the game. And then if a level 2 was being trumped by a level 200 every time they walk out of their warehouse, they're not going to want to walk out of their warehouse, which takes away from the environment, because then you don't have any growing players that become a challenge. It's almost like the Goku mentality. I'm not going to defeat them until they become a challenge. So they could be a level 1. I'm not going to mess with a level 1. Since I'm a level 200, I'm only messing with level 150 and higher. So if you're 75, if you don't start nothing with me, I'm not going to mess with you. But if you're a level 2 and you hit me with a rocket launcher, I'm going to crush you like a bug. That's the mentality that we're doing. Another one on Netflix is Carry On. Oh, okay. Not just new releases, but old movies. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Netflix doesn't release that many new movies. I can give you a list of old movies that you can go watch, or I can give you a list of good movies that are still in the movie theaters, and I can also give you some movies that are good to watch on Netflix for those of you that would prefer to stay at home and save you some money. Because I mean, Netflix is like $24 a month, and you can watch like 25 or 30 or 65 movies, and like a bag of popcorn. The Orville Redenbacher is like $1 a bag for the popcorn. So you might spend $60 on 60 movies plus the membership. So you pay like $90 for 60 movies with popcorn included, versus spending $15 a ticket for each movie and then paying $10 per popcorn for each movie and $5 per drink for each movie. So yeah, I give you some some Netflix. Because also yesterday I was watching Kill Tony, the comedy show. They did their 2-hour Netflix release yesterday, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Where they allow rookie comics to get their 60 seconds of fame on a show. I've seen that as well. So yeah, I can do that for you guys. I can always throw some extra stuff up there, because like I said, on This and That, we talk about this, that, and everything in between. So we're trying to cover the spread. It's a lot to do for one person. My original design way back in the day was that me and a buddy of mine, where I would do some stuff that interests me on the show, and he would do some stuff that interests him on the show, and he would do his stuff at certain times of the day, and I would do my stuff at certain times of the day, and we would just have a wide category of stuff that's being done on the show, where it literally is like a TV channel. Like you would have hour by hour different releases of stuff that's going on, or at least twice a day where you would have different releases of stuff going on. But since it's a solo run scenario right now, it's I squeeze it in there. So that's going to be my goal, to at least once or twice a week to try to give you guys some 5 or 10 movies that you guys can take a look at if you haven't already seen them. And I'm going to be letting you know some of the ones that I've come across that I thought was awesome. And then, try to do a little bit of both. He said, bro, I'm still rocking the 50-inch TV. I'm way behind. I need to get a 75 or bigger. I wouldn't say that. If you've got the 50-inch tube TV, like that's actually pretty sweet. If you want to get, because that's vintage, I would keep that. I don't care if I got another TV or not, I would keep that. But if you're getting the 75-inch or 65-inch flat screen TV, or if you're getting the 100-inch flat screen TV, you can probably pick some of those up pretty cheap at Walmart for like $400 if you're going to go get one of those, or $350 depending on the brand. You're getting a smart TV, it's probably going to be like $450 or $550 for one of those, and then that works. Or you can order yourself a projector from Temu for like $50 and get the 100-inch screen and put that on the wall, and then just connect your projector to your cell phone and watch your Netflix on the wall. If you have 100 inches of wall somewhere where you can watch a movie, and you could save money on a TV, because most of the stuff, anybody who's watching Netflix, most of the stuff you're doing, you watch it on your cell phone. So if you turn your cell phone into a television projector, all you really need is the sound to come from the thing, and you can watch your movie. And that's actually cheaper. But I mean, if you're trying to get the surround sound experience, you want to get the surround sound system, and there's a bed set on Temu that you can plug your cell phone into and get the surround sound system with the projector on the bed, so that it projects on the wall, where you still get the same experience from the comfort of your bed. So that's another thing that you need to look into when you're going to Temu, is trying to find ways to increase your entertainment experience on a budget. Because if you can find ways to save because we deserve to be entertained, we just need to be fiscally responsible about it. When I talk to you guys about investing, I'm not telling you to be bored and miserable for 5 or 10 years so that you can become rich. I'm saying waste less money on entertainment so that you could put more money towards being rich. But you still got to buy some stuff to entertain yourself. You still got to buy yourself. You have to treat yourself somewhere. You just got to do it in moderate increments, so that you're not throwing away a third of your capital on validating yourself. 2 to 5% for self-validation. That should be enough. If you get yourself the occasional new pair of shoes, so that the old shoes can be thrown out, you get yourself the occasional outfit, so that the old outfits that are full of holes and bleach stains and oil stains and dirt stains and blood stains and whatever the hell else is going on, you can throw those out. Rips and tears and all that stuff, buttons missing, you can throw that stuff out, and just every now and again just do a little something for yourself. But if you're taking that out of the dividends distributed from your shares, not your principal, your behavior pattern is to invest your principal, whatever your earnings come in from your job goes into the stock. And then if the dividends come out, and you could take $50 from the dividends and go and buy something with that, that's fine, because the principal is still there. So next month you could take that $50 and reinvest it into something else. But this month you could do something special for yourself. But you're taking the interest payment and doing something special for yourself. That's different from taking your paycheck and saying, I'm not going to invest in stocks today, I want to go see movies. No, invest in stocks, then take the dividends and go see a movie with the dividends, because you've increased your principal with investing in your stock, and now you're taking the interest from that investment and going to watch a movie with it. Whatever your entertainment financial level is going to be at, if your stocks can cover that, you can continue to increase your stocks with your principal and still maintain your level of entertainment. And you're still going to see an increase in your financial status, where you're not going to be suffering. So when I give you guys financial plans, I'm not telling you guys, don't spend any money ever. I'm saying don't spend any of your paycheck ever. Invest your paycheck, pay your bills with the dividends, and then take the profits off for the dividends that you didn't pay your bills with, and use that profit to go get yourself entertainment. Now, if you got more bills than you got dividends, you need to do more investing. You need to do more saving. You need to live more frugal for a shorter period of time. But once you get enough money saved up where you're getting paid out $500, $700, $800 a month, and that covers your lights, water, and the gas in your car insurance, and potentially cell phone bills and movies and stuff. When it starts covering all of that, then you can say, okay, now I can take a little bit of money out of this stock option that it's going to give me this $800 a month. I can take $100 out of it this month and go do something fun for myself because I've earned that from building it up so much. But it's not money that you're going to be missing because you put your whatever paycheck up there and it gave you something back. You're not withdrawing, you're not selling stock in order to go to a movie. It gave you money back. So if you put up $5,000 over the past 3 months and it gave you back $150, you've got $150, but the $5,000 is still there. So you could take 50 out of that and go and do something nice for yourself, reinvest 100, and now you got 5,100 as the principal. And you can still add to that. That's how rich people stay rich, is they don't spend their principal. They invest their principal and then they spend the interest that they're being paid off the principal so they can waste that money on stupid stuff. You can buy a Lambo if you're getting paid Lambo money from your $10 million stocks. You can buy a $1 million house if you're getting paid that much money off of your $10 million stocks. You know, so it's not about never having fun ever. This would be bad advice for people who want to have fun. If the goal was to never have fun for 20 years, no, you can have fun. You just have to do it responsibly. But when you change your spending habits, you'll come to find out that without having to get a pay raise, you come to find out that you got a lot more money to spend. Because look at how much money you invested and you still got money left over. And then you're like, oh, snap. Well, if I've got $5,000 in stocks, then that means I didn't need that $5,000 this last 3 months. Which means that if I would not have wasted that $5,000 3 months ago, I would have $10,000 right now. That's what that learning curve. You may instinctually say, instead of I'm just going to sit here and watch Netflix on my cell phone, eat me a bag of crackers and just chill out. Grab me a bag of Doritos or something and just chill out. Get me a little bottle of water, maybe a soda. I might splurge and make myself some Kool-Aid today and just sit here and watch my Netflix on my cell phone because it is more efficient for me to give myself small increments of entertainment and massive wealth building so that I can reach a point where I can give myself massive levels of entertainment by traveling the world and still having change left over. If your goal is to travel the world and live life outside of your bedroom, live life off your toilet, because a lot of people are watching a podcast on their cell phone sitting on the toilet right now, and that's what they do. But if you want to expand your horizons from that, you got to invest and you got to save. And if you save and invest enough, you'll get there. Now, while you're out and about and living life to the fullest because you can afford to do so, you might have some of the chance encounters that we're talking about on the show today, which would lead you to a situation where you might find a person who will aid you in your ability to have fun. Now, since you're financially capable of doing so, you need to make sure that this person is not going to waste all of your money, because since they're going to jump on your magic carpet ride and travel with you on a whole new world, because they could not afford to do this without you, they still have to show you their value. Otherwise, just so that you don't be alone, you're going to be paying twice as much money to bring an extra person with you that's only along for the free ride. They don't necessarily have to like you. They just have to like what you're doing for them. So we have to change the way we do things, because those of us who are broke-minded, we're not necessarily broke, but we're wasteful. Broke-minded individuals will spend extra money because we have it, instead of only spending what we need to spend because we have to. The difference between doing it because you have it and doing it because you have to is the difference between being rich and poor. And if we put more effort into only doing what we have to do and then rationalizing, do I really need to do that? Can I find entertainment that doesn't cost that kind of money? Can I find self-validation without being wasteful? Then you will start finding ways to have a lot more capital sitting on the back end, where after you've completely entertained your last 30 days, you're now still in a scenario where you still don't need anything, but you've got all this extra money on the back end. And as you build it up, you have your 30% level, where if you've got 3 times more money than the cost of the item, you start not buying stuff until you have 3 times more money. Then you're going to say, okay, 10 times more money. When you have 10 times more money than the cost of the item, then you're going to start buying stuff. But you'll come to find out, well, if it costs $500, I've got to have $1,500. Or if it costs $500, I've got to have, $10,000 or $5,000. And you're going to start setting those goals for yourself and say, well, until I have this much money, I'm not going to buy that. But if I can wait to buy it, did I really need it? And once you start rationalizing that, yeah, you're going to buy trinkets because you just want to have one. Some people are going to buy a WWE title just because they can, not because it has any value outside of having one, so that you can raise it in the air in front of some of your friends. But that does not change the fact that you can go get one. But if you're living from paycheck to paycheck, is that a fiscally responsible move? Of course not. That's only the type of thing that you do when you have enough money to buy 5 of them. Then you go get one because you didn't need that money for anything, and you're not interested in investing to grow your wealth. But as long as you're interested in growing your wealth so that you can travel the world, so that you can buy and own your own house and build generational wealth for your kids and build retirement funds for you and your wife so that y'all don't have to work for the rest of your days, you don't really want to spend too much money doing anything anywhere else, because the more money you spend now, the longer you have to work before you retire. And that's really my mentality right now, is I want to quit working. I want to be able to wake up in the middle of the day because I can't sleep anymore. I want to be able to be trying to figure out how I can make more money with the money I already have, because I don't want to be taxed on all the money that I've got. Not because I'm trying to make enough money to cover all of my bills. See what I'm saying? I'm trying to find ways. I'm trying to say, oh, well, let's take a business trip somewhere and write that shit off on our taxes so that they don't tax us. Let's buy some real estate so that we don't have the money at the end of quarter 4, so that they don't tax us on the money that we made, kind of stuff. Let's buy a new commercial vehicle, buy a vehicle for the company so that we can write that off on our taxes. That's what we're trying to do. When I get to that point, then I can say, okay, I can stop. Because I got cars because they're tax deductions, got houses because they're tax deductions, took trips because they're tax deductions, which means I'm making that much money to spend that much money after all of my bills are paid. But in order to get there, I've got to not spend it if I don't need to until I get there. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to tonight's show. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. I want to do a special shout out to Bayside, Carl, Max the Poser, Joe, his dad, Mr. Satellite, and Usman for being able to tiptoe into the show tonight. I really appreciate you guys for coming to the show tonight. We're about 72% male following. This is a male-driven podcast from a male's perspective, but women can learn a lot from it. And I really encourage you ladies to come to the show and come and get your knowledge on. Just note, tomorrow we've got our questions and comments from the fans. That's going to be popping up tomorrow. So whether they leave it in the comment section right after the show, or they commented on a different show from a different day, on the channel, I'm going to be pulling up a lot of comments and I'm going to be putting them up there, and we'll be able to talk about them tomorrow. And if I come across something interesting, then I'll throw that in as well. And then just note that we're going to have our business and finance discussions on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm going to be giving you guys a whole new concept in comparison to what we talked about over the past few weeks, especially since we're already in the downturn. We just finished talking about how to come out of this downturn with some profits by investing in stock markets in Hong Kong and in America that have been drastically impacted by the tariffs. So we're going to be coming from another perspective on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, depending on the news and information that we have with the country's impacts on the world. So I want to make sure that you guys stay with us. Make sure that y'all like and subscribe as y'all come through. We are supposed to try to start around 10 o'clock, but we start a little bit late. We usually 10:15, 10:30 Central Time, which is around about 11 to 11:30 when we kick things off on the East Coast, which is like 7:30 on the California time, West Coast. And that's about 4:30 in the morning, Green Minutes time and Universal Standard Time for those of you that are on the eastern side of the world. Just make sure that you guys know that we don't let the sun rise without going live. So we are live every night of the week. So if you get here before I do, hang out because I'm about to start. Do like Mr. Satellite did today. Drop in the comments and start letting us know. It rushes to start the show because I'm trying to piece something together and make sure that everything's right for you guys before I start the show. Make sure the internet's working, all that stuff. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.